Hi, everybody. My name is Lauren Brand. I'm the Assistant Commissioner of the MIAA, and I'm very excited to be here today with Hannah Biddlecome from Calvin. Hannah, how are you today?
I'm very good. I'm very good. I'm very excited to be here and talk about it.
Well, we're excited to have you. So tell me a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I'm Hannah Biddlecome. I am currently in my first year of the graduate program of the Masters of Strategic Communication and Media here at Calvin University. And I am playing my fifth year as an outfielder on the Calvin softball team.
Obviously, as a fifth year, you have had plenty of time within the MIAA. Tell me some of your favorite things about competing in this conference and maybe some of your favorite rivalries.
Yeah. I love competing in the MIAA, like due to the competition itself. I think being in a D3 program, sometimes it gets a little confused how hard or how competitive the teams and the games are. And I think especially the conference that we have the past couple of years, the years that I've been playing, is super competitive. It's super unpredictable. I think a lot of teams are working hard on the off, and you never come into a season knowing how a team's going to play. I know our team, our program does that a lot. We get better on the off season every single time. So we're coming back a new team, new players, and new ways to win. I would say some of my favorite rivalries at Calvin would obviously have to be Calvin and Hope. I love the energy that surrounds those games, no matter what sport we're playing, whether it's basketball, volleyball, or softball. And I would say, honestly, another rivalry that I love is Calvin softball versus Trine softball. I think they're a great program and they always push us to our limits. And it really motivates us actually to work a lot harder and push ourselves. And I love going into that game knowing that we have the ability to take that team down.
What drew you to Division 3 specifically? What makes D3 special to you?
Yeah. D3 has been such a pleasure to be a part of. It's allowed me to put my education first. And coach really stresses that too as players here. Sometimes as student athletes, the line can get blurred, whether we should be putting more time into practice or extra reps or preparing for games. And she always stresses that we're here to get an education. We're here for school first, making sure that we're balancing our time with homework and studying and then mixing in practice and preparation for games. So I love that I've been able to get such a strong and extensive education here while also continuing the sport that I love to death. I've also met some of my absolute bestest friends through this program. I lived with two of the girls on the team for 2 years, and now even though we all kind of moved apart a little bit, we still talk every single day. We hang out every weekend, and I wouldn't have those relationships without this softball program. So not only have I had the chance to further my education, but I've also grown a family away from home that I couldn't get anywhere else.
I'm sure you're pretty busy between your studies and softball, but what hobbies do you have outside of that?
One of the first things that comes to mind is I love to snowboard. I haven't actually done it in a while, just because that cuts a little bit too close to season. I don't really want to get hurt, but I do. I'm a Southern girl. I'm from Texas, and one of my favorite things about being in Michigan is the whole idea of skiing and snowboarding. So that's one of my favorite hobbies. Outside of that, that I can actually do as a student athlete, I love to go home and read for pleasure. I love a lot of like fiction. I love a lot of sci-fi books. Right now, I'm currently reading Fire and Blood in the Game of Thrones series. And besides that, I like just being active outside. So in the summer weeks, I like to go out with friends and play basketball or sand beach volleyball. Anything ever since watching the Top Gun scene, like years and years ago, anything that just keeps me active outside.
As a two-time captain of your team, how would you describe your leadership style?
I think my leadership style leans a little bit more towards like energetic and kind of pumping people up and motivating them to work hard, be a little bit better. I think I also, especially this year, looking at the team coming back as a fifth year, I think I like to lead by example. I know that I can't ask my team to come in on 6 a.m. lifts and push themselves harder than the day before if I'm not willing to do it myself. Um, and I got a lot of that from one of my previous captains, my freshman year, who's actually our assistant coach on the team right now, Abby Colin. I look up to her in more ways than one. She was always so intentional about having relationships with girls off the field and still being that respectable leader, pushing themselves, pushing others, and always motivating people on the field. So I think I'd like to take after her in terms of just boosting people up.
You and your coach mentioned that you're currently enrolled as a graduate student in film and media. What are your career aspirations?
They've changed over the past few years. I know when I first decided I wanted to be studying film and media production in high school, I immediately thought, I'm like, I'm going to Hollywood, I'm going to be a director, I'm going to live on the beach, all those things. I think when I hit college, I started to really dial in my focus and know that I do want to be in the film industry. I do love directing. I love kind of being the leader of a team and making decisions, but also hearing the diversity of opinions. And as of recent years, going into the graduate program, I've kind of decided that I would love to be in the film industry in terms of being a travel cinematographer or a travel production assistant. I would love to be somebody who has more than one skill on set, whether it's screenwriting, behind the camera, pre-planning, pre-production. So I would love to be somebody who travels with films to get certain scenes overseas or in different states and just always keep something new and fresh in front of my plate. I don't ever want to get stagnant.
What would you say is the most interesting class that you've taken so far?
Yeah. I think the most interesting and my favorite class that I've taken so far at Calvin would have to be my short film class, which is kind of a senior capstone for the film program. It's COM 351, I believe, if my professors are watching. But it was one of those classes where I took the screenwriting class the semester before, and we went into the short film class, and the students pick which scripts they want to produce for the rest of the semester. And mine got opted and got chosen. It was Stockholm Syndrome. And we sat the whole semester. I got to lead it as the director. Our professor kind of treated us more like co-workers, which was really nice as a college student with somebody I look up to in the industry. And we just had a ton of fun with it. I loved my crew. I loved being able to actually step into the production process as a whole without anybody kind of guiding me and fumble my way through there and find things that I love, maybe not so much love about it. Yeah, that would have to be my favorite class so far. There was a lot of things that went into it, a lot of time, a lot of effort, but it was the best.
Obviously, you're coming back for your fifth year. What drew you to continue softball while pursuing a graduate degree? Because I'm sure it's not super easy all the time, but probably definitely worth it. But what inspired you to continue on with softball?
This is such an interesting question because I don't know if Coach talked about it, but last season, I wasn't planning on coming back for a fifth year. I was planning on doing a lot of other things, kind of moving out of Michigan and getting my career started. And I think it was about a month, about the end of June, after we had finished up our last game. And I just realized that it wasn't the off season anymore. It was just the rest of my life. And while there was a good part to that, I started to reminisce more on how I maybe didn't treat my last season as if it was going to be my last season. You know, I've been playing softball since I was 6. It's the longest relationship I've had besides my relationship with my family. And I just don't think I really recognized that until I realized that I wasn't going to have it anymore. So I sat down at the beginning of July with my family and I just talked with them. I got a lot of guidance. I talked with coach a bit. I talked with my teammates, and I just decided that there was no way I was going to go out the way that I did. I had a lot more left to give to the sport. I just needed to realize that I had to lay it all out if I wanted to be okay with leaving it. So I decided, I talked with my dad. It was more than just that. It was decisions about where I wanted to go in my career as well, how I wanted a bit more like well-roundedness. So it ended up working out that Calvin recently in the past few years had a master's program in communications. And I talked with my old advisor, and he also convinced me to join the program. And I'm very excited that I did. So while it's a lot of work and a lot of things I feel like have changed over the past few months, I wouldn't have it any other way. My teammates are so supportive too. I know that I've made the right choice in coming back. And I'm just so excited to really mean it this season and know that when I leave the field, I left it all out there.
I love it. Well, Hannah, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me today, and best of luck to you and your team this season.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.